Hey, what's up, good people? This is LT, the Capital Guy with Prescott Capital Solutions. And I wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you today about building business credit. And this is specifically the roadmap to building business credit. So this is going to be a great session. I'm going to give you all of the steps that are needed in order to make sure that you are staged and that your business profile is staged for maximum fundability. So I encourage you to hang out and check this out. This is going to be a great session, and if you like this content and other content like it, I'm going to be putting out more videos. So I would encourage you to make sure that you hit that subscribe button, as well as give me a thumbs up. Click that like button. Also make sure you click that notification bell so that you are reminded of any other great content that I put out. So now that we have that covered, stick around. This is Business Credit Building Roadmap. All right, guys. So like I mentioned before, there are several things that need to be done and need to be in place in order to maximize your fundability. And all that means is we want to make sure that you're set up to get the most funding possible when you're applying for funding. Now, you may not use it all, so it's better to have more than enough, or at least have access to more than enough, than you're trying to get approved for some sort of financing for your business and you can't get approved anywhere, right? At least you will have choices, right? So if you're in a situation where all of your T's are crossed and all of your I's are dotted and your profile looks great, there are going to be people throwing money at you so that you can grow and expand your business. So that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that our profile is set up in such a way that we don't have any obstacles, and we're in a position where we know that our chances of getting approved are very high, and that's what we want to get to when we're building our business credit. The less stress we have, the better we're going to be. So let's get all this stuff handled in the beginning. So we have a few things in this first step of improving your fundability. And also I recognize we have people that already have established businesses, as well as people that do not have businesses. So I'm going to kind of cover the people that are like startups, so that they can get the foundation. And for those of you that already have established businesses, hang out, because I'm sure you're going to learn some things about this process as you go along. So if you have not started your business yet, or in the process of starting your business, one of the things you want to make sure that you do is solidify your product or your service. So if you're in a business of let's say house cleaning, right? So you want to make sure that you are solidified on the service that you offer. And it may not necessarily be one, maybe you offer two services. Maybe you offer house cleaning as well as, pressure washing or whatever. The idea is to know exactly what your business will service, or what product you will sell. And this will make your life a whole lot easier as you try to stay focused and build your business to the point to where, again, you're fundable, because there are certain niches of lenders out there that work with certain types of companies. So if without a shadow of a doubt that you are into house cleaning, there are companies out there that fund house cleaning. They fund other things as well, but they fund for house cleaning businesses. So the idea is just to stay focused and understand what it is that your business does. The next thing you want to do is to determine your NAICS code, and NAICS is a acronym for North American Industry Code System. And so you want to go in NAICS.com, and you can go and you can do a search of your business. You can do a keyword search, and once you do that keyword search, it will pull up a list of industry codes, right? So basically related to whatever you type in, it will pull up a list of industry codes, and you can utilize that list to pick the code that matches your particular business. And you want to keep that because you will use it on paperwork as you continue your business building journey. The next thing you want to do is you want to decide on your business name. So again, if you already have an established business, you don't have to worry about this. But if you don't, you want to establish a business name. Now, some things to think about is what you put in your name, right? So certain terms, certain descriptors, you want to be just be careful. If you're a house cleaner and you put house cleaning in your name, that's all fine, well and good. But if you think you might expand into other things later on down the road, it might be a good idea to make your name a little bit more broad, so that it kind of encompasses various things, and not tie you down to one industry. But if you know without a shadow of a doubt that you are, let's say, a house cleaner, and that's all you're going to be doing, by all means, go for it, and that will be an easy decision for you. So my recommendation, and this is just my 2 cents, if you think you might do other things beside the industry that you're starting in, I would keep the name broad. All right, so the next thing will be to establish your business address, right? So you want to get a business address, preferably not a PO box, preferably not a UPS address, because that will raise a red flag with a lot of the lenders. You'll probably notice that many times, especially with fintech lenders, you will be evaluated by an AI system before anybody human looks at your application. And what do I mean by that? Basically, when you go to fill out your application, let's say online, and you click submit, it's going to probably give you a little wheel that spins, and it'll probably tell you with a message saying we're checking your application, just making sure everything's in order. And all that is the computer looking at various factors, tied to your profile. And if it finds certain things that it's programmed to not like, then it could spit out a denial for your application. So again, that's just one thing to think about. And business address is one of those things that gets flagged all the time. That's just because, it could be a situation where your business address is not the same, in terms of spelling. You may have, 123 Roberts Street, versus 123 Robb Street. And then there's some other subtle variations, where you could have, 123 East spelled out EAST Robert Street, or you could have 123E Robert Street, which is tends to be what the United States Postal Service likes to do in terms of abbreviations. So a lot of those types of things can, throw you for a loop. It could actually either make it difficult for you to get approved, or it could also interfere with your trade lines that are reporting to the various business credit bureaus. So the idea would be, when you establish your business address, do it at a reputable company. If you have a brick and mortar location, use that address. Just stay away from PO boxes, stay away from UPS addresses. I heard that United States Postal Service has some sort of way to give you a business address that tends to work, but again, I would stay away from it, because what a lot of lenders might do is they may Google your address, and if they, with Google, what they do is they'll put pictures of the address, usually on the right hand side. And if some lenders are looking hard enough and they see that your business is the United States Postal Service, they may decide, okay, this guy's not a big business. They deal with a lot of fraud, and so we want to make sure that their nerves are calm when they're evaluating your application, and they're not thrown off in any way. So I would recommend stay away from PO boxes, stay away from UPS boxes. Um, but some of the things that you can do, some people use their home address. It's up to you. We live in a society now where there are a lot of people that are working from their home residence, and that's fine. I wouldn't recommend that as the first, but if that's all you got, I know people that are getting approved for funding with their home address. Again, this is just the era that we're living in now. My recommendation, though, is if you can't afford to get an office somewhere, at least get a virtual address. There are companies out there such as Regis, there are companies out there such as Alliance, and others that offer virtual addresses that whenever you're Googled, it actually shows a decent office building, and the lender may just assume that you have an office within that building. So I would recommend, establishing your business address with one of the reputable companies, either a virtual address. If you have to for now, use your home address. Again, just stay away from UPS, stay away from PO boxes because it could hinder you in the future. And well, now you may say, well, I know businesses that have PO boxes, and that is true. But if you notice, the headquarters is typically some sort of physical address. They may have a PO box for collecting payments or other types of correspondence from their clients or their customers. But for the most part, their headquarters is a physical location with a street address and a suite or maybe not a suite, what have you, but there is actually a physical location and not some sort of PO box. So that's important to make sure you establish what that business address is. And then the next thing, once you have your business address, you have your NAICS code, you know what your business name is to set up an entity. Now, I am not a tax attorney. I am not or an accountant or at all. I know a few things, but I'm not giving you advice. I would recommend that you consult your professional team. So if you have an accountant, talk to your accountant about what entity you should choose for maximum tax benefit. Talk to your attorney about what entity you should set up and what's all involved in doing that. Um, Now you could actually go and set up your EIN, yourself. You can just go to irs.gov and set up the EIN, but just make sure that when you're setting all of that stuff up, you have your business address and your NAICS code, and all of that stuff is the same on all of your documents when you're filling things out. So there are companies out there like LegalZoom and maybe some others that also assist in doing your entity and EIN setup. And you will pay a fee for it, but it's just up to you. Whatever you can afford, whatever floats your boat. A lot of this stuff you can do yourself, but I would recommend that you speak to some professional attorney or an accountant if you have questions about which entity would be best to set up. All right, the next thing you want to make sure you have is a good business phone, and you'll use that phone number to register with the National 411 listing. And now, when I say phone again, like I mentioned before, there have been a lot of fraud in the industry. Um, there are people that buy these burner phones or prepaid phones, and they'll do business, and then they'll get funding, but then when they decide they don't want to pay, they just throw away the phone, they discard the business, and they just kind of move on, and the lender is left kind of holding the bag, wondering where their money went. That's never going to get paid back. So there've been a lot of scrutiny on various factors, and obviously the phone is one of them, right? They want to make sure that you have a good business phone, business line. They don't like personal mobile phone numbers. They don't like Google Voice numbers, Skype numbers, things of that sort. They would rather you have a phone service such as DialPad, such as Ring Central, if you don't have service with your local telecom. That helps them to know that okay, you're a serious business, you're registered locally, or you're registered with a service that you have a relationship with or contract with, and that lets them know that you're a legitimate business. And also, you want to have that number listed in the National 411 directory, just in case if they actually go try to search and see if you're listed, you would come up and they feel good about lending to you. The next thing is to make sure you set up a website and an email address. So, website is pretty self-explanatory, but one of the things I do tell people is if you don't have a website already, don't go crazy trying to create this big, elaborate website when you haven't even done much business yet. From a lender standpoint, building business credit, it doesn't even have to be, a spectacular site. It just needs to look professional and have information about your business and your contact information on it. That's all the lender cares about when they try to visit your website to learn more about you. just don't get crazy. There's some people that they'll, get carried away and they'll spend so much time tweaking their website that, they never operate in their business. And that's not what we want. We want to establish a presence so that if anybody needs to do any further research on us, they'll be able to go to our website, pull up our information, and then be able to see what we're about so they can decide, if they want to lend to us or not. Also, if you have an email address, make sure that you use your domain name. So going back to our house cleaning example, if we have a company named Happy House Cleaners, right, and you get a domain for a website called happyhousecleaners.com, you want to make sure that your email address uses that domain. So you don't want to say happyhousecleaners@gmail.com. Now you can use that, behind the scenes for sending documents and receiving emails, but on your website or on your applications with your lenders, you want to have something like info@happyhousecleaners.com. Use that domain name because again, that lets lenders know that you are a professional company and you mean business, right? You're presenting yourself as a professional entity, and so that's why that's important. Again, like I mentioned before, you want to make sure that all your records are the same across all your documents. So make sure your address, your physical address is the same. Make sure it's spelled exactly the same, especially with your Secretary of State, the IRS for your EIN. You want to make sure on your website your address is the same. On your bank account, you want to make sure that your address is the same. When you establish a bank account, that's very important. So having all of your records in sync, all of your identifying information in sync across all of your records is very important, and you should work to try to make sure that's done as quick as possible and as soon as possible to guarantee you funding quicker than many people that don't know that. Just like I mentioned before, merchant accounts and bank accounts, you want to make sure when you set those things up that you have the same information, the same name spelled the exact same way, the same physical address spelled the exact same way, the same website, the same name, all that stuff. You want to make sure that all that stuff is set up and is congruent, and make sure you take care of your bank accounts. Never let your bank accounts be charged any type of fees. Well, I say fees, mostly, NSFs, because lenders, when they want to look at your bank statements, they will check if you have any fees, and many of them won't touch you if they see you have a bunch of NSFs, non-sufficient funds, on your account. So make sure you take care of your bank account, and not let it fall victim to NSFs. All right, so we got past step one. So this is step two. This is where we actually, get loans and credit lines. And basically what we mean by that is you just want to do some research, just see what's out there. Look at business loans and lines of credit, and see what the qualifications are. Kind of get an idea of what they're looking for when they are presenting uh, loan services, right? So see what the criteria are, what they're looking for. Many of them, are asking for 3 months bank statements. Some they may ask for obviously your EIN, but they want to look at your trade lines to see how the business has been paying the bills. Some may actually require you to PG or personally guarantee any type of financing that they give you. So you want to actually kind of know what's out there so you can know what to expect. Again, looking at business lines and determining what are those qualifications so that you can be aware of the types of things that they're asking. And so that's what we want to do. We want to kind of go into this thing with some knowledge of what some of these lenders will be looking for. Also, start developing a blueprint for the future for you know, future financing. So you're not just looking for just one-time financing. We're looking to continue to get financing over time, whether we refinance out of some of the loans that we get, or we get additional financing for expanding and growing our business in the future. We want to establish a good, clean record and run with that into the future so that as our business grows and our needs grow, we'll have access to that additional capital in order to be able to make our business as successful as we want it to be. All right. So step three is where we go to establish our business credit reports, and all that is that you'll go to the various credit reporting agencies such as Dun and Bradstreet, Experian Commercial or Experian Business, and Equifax Commercial or Equifax Business, and you'll set up accounts with these reporting agencies. With Dun and Bradstreet, when you set up an account, you're going to get a DUNS number, and that number will be basically your identification number in the Dun and Bradstreet system. Now, this is different from your EIN, which is your employee identification number. That's how the government knows who you are and what your business is. This is your Dun and Bradstreet number, so that when you start getting credit and you start paying your bills, they know which number to allow these trade lines to show up on and report to. So setting up an account with Dun and Bradstreet is definitely an important step. Also, because Dun and Bradstreet is the largest credit reporting agency for businesses, in the U.S. for sure. Experian comes in next. It's about a tenth of the size of Dun and Bradstreet, but it is very, very popular. And then, of course, comes Equifax as a reporting agency. So the idea is to make sure that you set up accounts. And like I mentioned, set up account with an Experian commercial, set up also an account with Equifax. So you have access to your business profiles on each of the platforms. And then, of course, by having an account, you are able to dispute any inaccuracies that are on your business credit report. So I always tell my clients when they're viewing their business credit report just to go ahead and look for any issues that you have, because 9 times out of 10 there may be something that needs to be corrected, whether it be something minor as an address misspelling or anything like that. It's better to get that taken care of ahead of time as soon as possible. All right, step four. This is where we start building business credit. Now, this is the exciting piece. Now, everything that we've talked about in step one, two, and three is just getting ready for step number four. Now, step number four is when we actually build our business credit, right? And so we start looking at starter vendors. So if you have not done anything with your business credit profile, then chances are you would need to start with one of these. So you need to start building trade lines for your business. And so the way to start building trade lines is to go ahead and apply to what's considered tier one vendor accounts. And these are some of the more popular tier one accounts are ones like Uline, Granger, and Quill. These are some of the tier one, and these report to the various business reporting agencies. There are some that report maybe only to a couple. There's some that report to all three. You just have to look at each one of them and see which agencies they report to. And the idea is to get three trade lines, 2 to 3 trade lines reporting to each bureau, right? So if you can do that with 3 starter vendors, that's great. Again, the idea is to look and see what reporting agencies the vendors report to, and keep applying until you get um, at least 2 vendors that are reporting to each of the credit reporting agencies, the business credit reporting agencies. Now, and then once you've done that, obviously you established your initial business credit profile, of course, and when you're also going to establish an initial credit score as you start building your trade lines, and then you start paying your bills on time. And another thing on that, the idea is once you really start making purchases to your vendors, it's a weight game, right? So I tell people you can start establishing business credit within 30 days. That's not a problem. However, in order to be able to matriculate up through the various tiers, so you have tier one creditors, tier two creditors, tier three, and tier four, and then on up, you have the high revolving credit. You have the high lines of credit, those types of vendors. But we have to build your way up. There's been a lot of people that what they do is they get impatient, and they'll they'll go and they'll start applying for everything, and they'll keep getting denied, and they're too impatient to start the baby steps. It's better to start baby steps and then work your way up. This is a slow and steady race, right? You want to do this thing right. You don't want to kind of go, all off the rails trying to get this business credit. Just take your time and do it right, and you're going to reap the benefits in the future. But like I said, this is a process. Once you start generating and getting approved for your starter vendors, you need to start monitoring your business credit to see what those scores are, because your scores are going to get updated. And there's certain platforms that you can get to monitor your business credit. Obviously, with each of the credit bureaus, you can go and monitor your business credit on their website. And I know with Dun& and Bradstreet, just as a warning, obviously you can set up a DNB number for free, but they're going to call you, they're going to harass you and ask you to purchase one of their systems. I shouldn't say harass. They're in business, they're trying to make money, so they have other services, and some of them are good, I have to say, but they're going to want to sell you additional services. If you want those services, one of them is Credit Signal. It's some people really like it. I looked at it and I thought it's okay. But they will obviously charge you for those. And just remember, for those extra features, you're going to be paying, more money for those. And again, some of those features are great. If you have the money and you can afford it, go for it. But if you're on a tight budget, you're not obligated to pay for any of those additional services. So just know that setting up your Dun and Bradstreet number, at least as of the time of the recording of this video, you can go on Dun and Bradstreet and create a DNB number for free. Same with some of the others, the Experian and Equifax. They may have services that they'll try to entice you with. Just if you want to go and purchase those services, by all means go ahead. But if you're on a tight budget, there's no need to really purchase those services. And of course, as you start to really build those trade lines and paying your bills on time, you want to constantly check your reports, check your scores to see where they are. Basically, the idea is, for Dun& Bradstreet, a PAYDEX score of 80 or above is considered good. For Equifax, I believe the score of 85 or above is considered good. And for Experian, 85 and above, and for Equifax, it's like 400. If you're at a 400 and above, you're considered a good risk for any lender. So you want to make sure that you constantly check your scores to see, what they are, so that if you're doing a great job paying your bills and paying them on time all the time, or even better, paying them early. If you pay, as soon as the invoice comes out, and you pay right on, as soon as the invoice come out, which is before the actual due date, in many cases you'll achieve the higher scores. And I know like Paydex could go up to 100 if you're consistently paying your bills, let's say 10 days before the due date or something like that. So just be mindful of that. But if you are always paying your bills by the due date, you're still doing great. You'll get that 80 Paydex score, and you'll be golden in terms of creditors. So just keep that in mind. All right, now step six is revolving credit, right? So there's different types of revolving credit that you can get for your business. You can get credit with major retailers that offer revolving credit, high limit revolving credit, such as Home Depot, Sam's Club, and some of these. These are cards that can help you in your business, as well as report and build your business credit. So, let's say if you're a home remodeler, right, and you need access to supplies. If you have a revolving card with Home Depot or Lowe's, you'd be able to use that credit in order to build your business, right, and still have data reported to the credit bureaus. So that's a win-win on both sides. Also, with fleet sources, right, you can get gas cards. and things like that. If you own a trucking company and you need to give your drivers gas cards so that they can fill up anytime they make a stop, you can have fleet cards that allow you to be able to do this. And so it's very important to get that revolving credit to help you in your business. And then step seven, get more revolving credit. And so what do we mean by that? Any type of auto vehicle financing, um, with auto vendors, or cash credit, credit card, high limit credit cards, American Express, Capital One, Venture Card. I mean, business. These are all tools that people use in order to increase their business scale. Whether it be to buy equipment or what have you, buy supplies. These are cards that once you get to the point that you can actually acquire them, they will be able to help your business grow and scale tremendously. And again, it's all about responsibility. I think it was someone who said, "With great power comes great responsibility," and so you want to make sure that when you get these cards or you get this credit, you are responsible and you do what you have to do to make sure that you pay your bills on time. It does you no good to get all of this credit, get all this credit lines, and to mess up by not paying your bills on time. Sure, things may happen. You may be late, but you do not want to start a trend of always being late, because once you start to really show that trend of how you do business and it's not good, then you're going to hurt your chances in the future of obtaining more credit. So that's it, y'all. This was the business credit building roadmap. So I gave you the 7 steps to allow you to get to that point to where you are establishing solid business credit and be able to maximize your chances of getting funding, even higher levels of funding as you move your way through the tiers. Now, here at Prescott Capital, we do 2 things, right? We have 2 services. One is we help companies get money for their business, right? So we help companies get funded. So regardless of what situation you're in, we have funding that, if you meet, any of the 3 C's that I've talked about, either you have good credit or you have collateral or you have cash flow. If you have any one of these, you can get funding for your business. And so, let's say you own a barbershop, and let's say you're making money, you're making consistent positive cash flow in your business month after month, but you have a terrible personal credit score. You can get funding for your business. Let's say you're just starting a business out. You don't have any business credit, you don't have any collateral, you don't have anything. But one thing you do have is a good personal credit score. You can get funding for your business. Let's say you have equipment in your business. You're not generating consistent cash flow, but you're getting money in, and your personal credit score is terrible, but you have some equipment, you have some assets in your business that can be leveraged. You can get funding for your business. So there's no reason that you won't be able to get funding, if you really need it to grow your business. So I would encourage you to take advantage of our what we call our blueprint, our finance blueprint, where we can get you funding immediately. Now, depending on what your situation is with your business credit, right? So even if you get funding, you still want to work on your business credit. We also offer a service called the Business Credit Builder, and that's where you're taking through a step-by-step process to establish and build your business credit. And this is where you actually go through all the steps. We track you. Customer service is a big thing of mine. So, once you sign up for the Business Credit Builder, then you will have calls from advisors that are helping you step by step throughout the process. And their goal is just to make sure that you have everything you need. If you have any questions, they can get answered. And if you, in between calls, if let's say if you have a question, you can always give them a call and they will be able to help you and answer any questions that you may have. So, my thing is making sure that you have more than enough information so that you can make the decisions that you need to make and get to that place quicker. So again, if you need help in establishing your business credit, please give us a call at the number below, or visit the website and set up an appointment, and we'd be happy to help you. If you need funding now while you build your business credit, please again give us a call. We have funding advisors ready to assist and help you get the funding that you need for your business while you're building your business credit. So we're all about action. And so if you're ready to take action, if you're ready to take your business to the next level, whether you're just starting a business or you're, moving to that place where you're wanting to scale your business, please give us a call. We want to help you. Prescott Capital Solutions. We get money for your business. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.